Not your average tabletop. Woohoo!
Welcome to Not Your Average Tabletop. I'm Zach,
And I'm Pepper
and today we're going to give our first impressions.
on Unmatched, Cobble and Fog.
Yes, this was a game that I think we'd probably heard of Unmatched,
Probably heard
some
of it,
Unmatched
but-
games for a while. Some of the different ones, I don't know if it was necessarily Cobble and Fog that I heard about first, but I'd heard of this Unmatched game, and then I think we probably started looking at it a little more for the Dice Tower Awards. It was, what category was it in again?
Was it expansion? I think it was.
It
'Cause
could
it
have
is a
been.
standalone game, so that was felt a little weird for us, to us, but yes. Did it end up winning that one? I think it might have.
I feel like it
forget.
did, but I'm not sure. What was Undaunted in that as well? Because I
Might have
think
been.
I didn't pick Undaunted because it was in there last year or something. I don't remember.
Yeah.
I don't know if it won or
We
not,
will.
but that's when we kind of started looking at it
Yes.
a little bit more, and I think you kind of looked at it a little bit more than I did.
Yeah, a little bit more. I watched some reviews and I kind of bought into the hype of it. And I think it was Z Garcia and saying this is some of the best characters in all of the Unmatched whole franchise are in this game, and he obviously gave it the excellence. So then I got a little
A
hyped
little
about it.
overhyped. A little
So
overhyped.
I did end up picking it for our predictions. I kind of wanted to try it as well.
Yeah. So we ended up getting it. I think on Miniature Market there was a deal or something. It was right around that time,
Yeah.
and I knew you had seemed interested in it. So I think we had a bet on whoever ended up getting more of them right, and it may or may not have been you.
It was.
So I just got this just in case that I lost. I was assuming I wasn't going to lose, but it may happen occasionally. And so yeah, we ended up picking it up then, and then it's been sitting around for a few months. It's one of those that I definitely wanted to still play, but
Yep.
I think we just sometimes get games that they just end up sitting around for a little bit.
Yeah, a little while,
And
at least a month or two, maybe.
yeah, and this
Average.
one was probably one that got to a little quicker actually
Yeah.
than most of the other ones that we
Because we've
get.
had, what is it, Charterstone sitting there for I don't know how long now.
That is true. I think I got that at the beginning of the pandemic as well. But yeah, that one hopefully
That's probably
maybe we get it started by the end of the year.
He's been in there. He's seen so many games come and go off that
He's
shelf of shame.
He just
is
wondered
the
when he's
one
gonna get played.
constant.
We did open it up the one time and we're gonna play it, but we never got to it.
So back to Cobble and Fog.
So I guess what were your expectations once? I mean, it sounded like you bought into the hype, but were you thinking this was going to be one of your top favorite games, or were you just hoping to try out the system?
I was interested in the system. I didn't have super high expectations, like it would be a top tier game for me, but I was looking for solid card play, interesting combinations, and matchups,
Hmm.
which I think is what sells this game is all the different characters that you can match
Hmm.
up and all their unique decks.
Hmm.
So I didn't have super high expectations, but I was expecting a very solid game
Hmm.
and experience.
Yeah. I had you know probably not high expectations. I wasn't sure if this would be something I'd like. I'm Neither of us are kind of like combat typically into many combat. Maybe you're into
I'm
combat games
getting a
more.
little more
Well, yeah,
nowadays,
but
but
but I know
no.
like before around the time we got this, I think you're still. At least I wasn't very much of a combat person.
Mm,
I wasn't sure, if this system would kind of change that a little bit or not, because the type of people or things on the map kind of
mm,
fighting and stuff doesn't always, draw me in. But
yeah.
yeah, I was hoping this one. I mean, because the theme or the Cobble and Fog, when I heard that, to me that just sounded really cool
does
and
sound
interesting.
cool.
It does sound really cool, and the characters are all characters that I really like. I don't know how Dracula fits in there, but
Yeah.
I mean he's fine. But I guess I don't know what fourth character I would have put in there. I wish it would have been a different character, but I don't know what I would have put in there to get me for.
I
really
assume
good.
they're
I haven't
all-
played Dracula, so I don't know. It's probably a good character, but
yeah.
just the character in general. I like the other
assume
three.
They all kind of came from the same batch of rights to characters, and so they just put them all in here. But yeah, definitely characters. Like some of these are a little more niche. Like there's not a Game of Thrones, but like it feels like that. Like it's just certain very specific. Those people are gonna like this, but they're not gonna be really welcoming to the large audience. But I think these are characters that pretty much everyone has a little knowledge about and can kind of understand some of their abilities.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
That
That is true. That is true. It's kind of probably like I know. There's another game that I've never played, but I would compare it to maybe like the Horrified, and I feel like that might be why that's popular as well, because it has characters that people all kind of know. Although that's a cooperative one, I believe, and so it's different, but it seems like it's in the same type of thing.
Like that.
But I've never really had any interest in playing it, so I don't know.
Feels like
Something about those that I have really no interest in. So we'll see if I ever end up playing that.
Horrified, the war game.
The
duel.
But no, I also found this interesting because it's mostly supposed to be played as like a dueling game between two people. But I think you can play.
Yeah, you can play
teams.
Team play. Yeah.
So yeah, the first time that this was played was by you, two-handed.
It was two-handed, which is, I mean, being a 1-versus-1 duel game,
knowing what's being played.
Really what you're supposed to do, so that took a lot of the outthinking and thinking, what is my opponent going to do? What defense or attack should I play? Because you know what that's going to be. So I pretty much was just like, okay, I did that. Well, this card will work perfectly now. Boom, completely canceled.
Right. Yeah, that doesn't really work that well for this game.
Not really.
It's not like this is a game where you roll dice or something where the outcome isn't already predetermined.
Yeah, there's like no... There's a lot of the games, solo games, you're kind of playing against the game, but there's none of that here.
No. So now we just finally, I got my first play tonight. I don't know, did you just do that once?
Just once, yeah.
And you taught it to me in about, it seemed like only like 5 minutes. There are a couple things that I still wasn't sure of. You just did like a pretty brief overview. It's not like you went through in great detail or anything. But yeah, we were up and playing in 5 minutes. So I was surprised at how quickly that was to learn. And then the cards and stuff, at least on the ones that I had, I played as Sherlock, Holmes, and then Watson, and they really describe pretty much everything that they do.
Yeah, I was Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. But yeah, the cards, they're very easy. I got in the top corner, whether it's an attack or a defense or possibly a wild, which could be played as both, or else a special action you can take, possibly with a lightning bolt. So there's just a few symbols that you need to know what they do, and those will tell you that. And then there's text at the bottom that describes any additional effects that the card has. But yeah, it's very, very simple and easy to learn.
Yeah, so then what do you think? What do you think of the gameplay? Is it enjoyable gameplay? Trying to outthink your opponent, possibly.
Because of my top 50 games, that did come up quite a bit. It's even come up in this video. I love to figure out what my opponent's going to do and to outsmart them. So playing cards as attack, not knowing if they're going to play a defense, what it's going to be, what effect their card's going to have. Is it going to cancel my effect? Are they going to move? I just really like that, figuring out, and especially, I think, with time, knowing the
Knowing
other
different
characters'
decks,
decks will just add to that even more,
Mhm.
knowing what they could possibly have in there.
Yeah, I'll say that I think that's pretty much the main thing that this a first playthrough of this misses out on is
Yeah.
you really don't know what you're playing against.
Yeah.
Like I had asked
Like-
you because one of my cards I could predict like the number on the top of your card or whatever, and I'd asked what the max or what the range was, and you had said 2 to 4, and then I think you had a 5 that you played after
Yes,
that
I
because I had
played
not had a
that.
5 in my hand, so I'd only had 2s and 3s, so I wasn't even sure there was a 4.
Since I accidentally screwed him. You wouldn't have said 5 anyway.
I
Probably.
probably wouldn't have. But no, I think getting to know the decks is something that would, make the game even better on future plays. But I think it would take a couple games. I think you'd have to play as almost every one of the characters at least once to kind of get to know that.
'Cause, yeah, you have a big deck, and the game doesn't last very long. It's a very quick game.
It is very quick.
What was it? It was like 5 minutes to learn it, and we played it for like 30 minutes.
Hmm. Yeah.
And your deck, I don't know how many cards you have here. Maybe, what is this?
So
10,
40, 50 maybe not
maybe
even
30
yeah.
cards. And we each had maybe 10 cards left at the end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not going to go through, or you could go through, but because I don't know what the other characters do. Maybe they go through their deck more, but I think most of the games you're probably not going to go through your whole deck. So that's interesting to me because a lot of the games we play, you kind of go through your deck, you reshuffle it. You don't ever reshuffle this and get those cards back. So once you see a card, there are multiples, but once you go through them, you're not going to get a chance at that exact card ever again.
Oh, right.
So I found that interesting.
Yeah.
Not sure.
Well, and I like that a lot of these have multiple of the
Oh,
same card, or 2 of like each, 2 or 3 of each, I believe, is what they are.
Yeah.
Most of them. So I like that it's not necessarily all different cards. So it's not like there's like one specific card in here that you're waiting for. There's at least 2 chances that you could get it, so that you probably will see at least one of each of them.
Yeah.
Typically throughout a game. I did like that a lot as well. But yeah. Are you interested in playing all of the characters?
I don't know. I don't know what to think of that look on his face.
I mean, is that do you think that'll add a lot of replayability? Do you think it'll actually feel different?
I don't know if it'll feel different. I just feel it'll feel like you have different weapons.
Yeah.
But you will be playing the same game, moving around the map, but I think it'll just be like, okay, I have this to hit you this many times, or this effect to do something to you, or move, however. But so yeah, I think it won't feel too different, but I think there'll be enough fresh or enough change between games to keep me entertained at least.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's one of the things that I'm most looking forward to is playing all the different characters and seeing just how different that they feel. Even between these two, it felt decently different because it seemed like you had some cards that could. It seemed like you had a few more that could heal you or heal you
that's true.
more quickly than mine were doing.
You did have what was it, Watson with you, and I know Dracula adds 3 sidekicks that he has. So I guess it probably does change quite a bit from game to game.
Yeah, for sure. Because I could use Watson to actually. He was a ranged attacker. Ours were both melee, so we had to be like pretty much right adjacent to each other. Whereas Watson just had to be in the same area, which I found really interesting because I could kind of get him in an area to attack you. But then you would have to, if you wanted to attack me that next turn, you'd have to spend a move to get to me.
Watson after me and run and hide.
Right, exactly. I found that really, really interesting.
Yeah, that is really cool. And I was glad that, because I don't think any of the other characters are ranged. I'm not sure about these people from Dracula, but I like that the areas, which the board's interesting here. It has different spots that are connected through paths, which determines adjacency and everything. But they're also kind of different terrain, all the different spots. And if you're in a spot with a terrain, if you are ranged, you can hit anything in a spot with that type of terrain. So it can really open the map up. So with your Watson, you were able to get to me probably, if you wanted to, pretty much from anywhere. You just had to get to a spot with a matching terrain.
Right.
So there was a time when I got pretty low, and I thought I was safe running into this house, and you were somehow able to run across the map with him and still shoot me.
Yeah, that for sure that makes it interesting because then you can, because you could have a character try running away from you like you did,
And if
and
it was
normally I'd
if it
have to
was
get right
melee,
next to you.
I think that could definitely that could work. Which I think, I'm not sure how much that would come up, because if you didn't have him, I feel like the game could get to a point where maybe you're just kind of running and just keeping like 3 or 4 spots between you to where they can't actually get you, and maybe, I don't know, it didn't actually come up, but I could see that coming up and maybe kind of not feeling so fun.
Yeah, we'll have to see on that how that would play out. But yeah, I could see that not being as fun for sure. But I suppose then the other one would just load up on cards, and then you could use those to do that extra movement.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what you'd have to do then, and that's, I'm sure, why they have that option.
Yeah.
But yeah, then I ended up taking the L on this one. I thought I got overexcited. I thought I had you. I got you down to 1 health.
It was,
and I had 7.
A very, very epic finish. So yeah, I was hiding this house. You were like here and here, and you used your boost on a movement to get all of your guys down here, so that this actually has a matching terrain to my spot, but you actually weren't adjacent, so I couldn't attack you, you thought. So then you used that to attack me and hit me, and it brought me down to 1 point, which you thought you would have enough to kill me, but I had just used a heal card the previous turn. But in my defense card for your attack, it let me move 2 spots, so I was able to move here adjacent to you, and I was down to 1, so I'm like, I'll just attack him with
Right,
the
because
last...
if you move with yours,
Yes.
with him being...
My attack was with Mr. Hyde, and Mr. Hyde, if you move with him, you lose a health. So I was like, I just have to attack him with both of my final cards.
And I had 1 card left.
And I'm like, if he has any defense at all, I don't win, because he had 7 health left, and my 2 cards added up to 7 damage. So I play the first one. He doesn't play a card. I'm like, okay, he's just saving it for my big card next. So I deal 5 damage to him. I play my next card for 2 damage, and he doesn't play the card. He ran out of his defense cards.
I was not planning for that. But yeah, I was kind of thinking he kind of lucked out that he only had 1 health, because that pretty much forced you to attack me, or when you had the choice to move, it pretty much forced you to come here and attack me, because you couldn't move otherwise you would have pretty much killed yourself by moving over. So
Yeah, pretty much.
So I kind of, it was my own fault. I forced you into right next to me to take me out. And then I lost epically. I wasn't planning. I wasn't prepared for to defend myself.
Yeah, I was thinking, because once I was so low on health, and he had kind of gotten his health back up a little bit to 7, I'm like, maybe he doesn't think I have the firepower to take him out.
I did not. But I was wrong.
Yeah, it was epic. It was epic. So it finished. I had 1 point of health left, and you had 0.
So I'm gonna predict that this is a 10 out of 10 for you,
Oh,
knowing how your
right.
rating goes. If I would have got that 1 health, it would have been a 4. But anyway, what did you think? What were your first impressions? What are your first rating of this game? Would you play it? I guess, is it a game you'd play back to back? Is it a game you want to get back to the table?
I think this is a good one to play, especially back to back. You can kind of I play a character, you play a character, and then maybe a swap and play it again. I could see this being a great one for that. Plus, it's just so quick. you could play it 3-4 times in a row,
Mhm.
in about the same length as you play some bigger games.
Right.
But yeah, and the unique characters and just the quickness of the turns and of the game is really appealing to me. So I'm going to give this. I'm going to give it an 8.
Ooh, nice.
Nice, a solid 8. This was.
I wasn't sure. I thought it might be just a tad bit higher than that for you, but I wasn't sure. But I
Just the chance that you almost beat me bumped it down a whole point.
down a whole point. No, I'm very close with my rating. I was thinking a 7.75, possibly up to an 8.
Oh, I didn't.
It'd take a couple more plays though to see kind of if it had some problem like that where one person kind of just keep
yeah.
running around and the other one would try to chase him down or something, kind of see if that would happen. But no, it's definitely one that I would play, multiple times in a row. Like you said, you could swap, and then, if you tied that, you could play maybe one more game of whichever characters or whatnot. Because, it's one that you can definitely play really quickly, and I'm sure the more and more you get to know the game, you could probably play it even quicker. I think that you said it said 20 to 40 minutes on the box, and I think that's probably about right if,
I would
this
say
is
so.
indicative of how quickly you can take someone out and possibly, I could see how you could take them out quicker than that too. Or
Yeah, for
I think
sure.
it
If
kind
you
of
get,
just,
you get lucky early on, and maybe they don't have defense, and you have huge attacks. You could really, really
Yeah.
hand a whooping.
Yeah, but no, I agree with pretty much everything you said. I think, there could be maybe, like you said, if someone got lucky and had really good cards early and the other person didn't have that good of cards to attack or defend themselves, maybe they had a lot of the, what were they? The scheme cards
the
to
schemes,
play.
yeah.
If they had mostly those and didn't really have the others, and you had a whole handful of attacks and went after them,
Yeah.
that could be hard to come back. But, I mean, you took out 7 worth of hell. I didn't think you could do it that quickly, so yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
You just asked me like the turn before that. Like, there's no cards because I lied to you about the 5. Apparently, there being a 5 hit card. So then you asked me again. There's no cards that hit 7, right? Kind of jokingly. But I'm like, no. But these 5 and 2 together would.
Oh, this guy.
Yeah, so it's a great game. The insert looks nice, like it would kind of hold everything, but once we opened this up, it was a complete mess in there. Some of the Invisible Man's clouds got under the Sherlock Holmes deck somehow. I don't know how.
The Invisible Man was sneaking around at night,
but yeah,
messing with the box.
Kind of a shame that isn't as neat. Maybe if they had like a cap for the insert.
Yeah, it looks like it should hold the stuff. So that is a little disappointing, especially when you have the cards that you want to keep separate and things you want to keep separate.
But other than that, that's really the only negative thing I have to say about the game.
Nice. Well, what do you think about Unmatched Cobble and Fog? If you've played it, or any of the other Unmatched sets, are there ones that you think are really good that we should look into and see if, once we play all of these ones and see how they work, are there things we should explore to, give them some more competition once we figure out which one of these is the most powerful? I wonder if that'll...
Whichever one I'm playing.
Oh, wow. This guy. But otherwise, we appreciate you watching. We will hope to see you on the next video. And as always, don't forget to
Keep on nibbling.